Go ahead.
My nubs make just as much noise.
So, like, am I live or is the picture live?
Welcome to Mornings with Matt,
is live,
personal and
graphic.
professional development training that connects the art of
So it's not
acting
me
with
dancing?
critical life skills
No,
and
definitely
self-mastery.
nobody wants to
Presented
see
by the Dealing Acting Studio.
Hurtful.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mornings with Matt. Today we're going to be talking about minimalism, and I know this is a huge... You want one of those, Joe? You got it.
I do.
This is a huge topic that a lot of people are talking about. My wife is obsessed with minimalism, and she was like on this path well before
long time ago.
it became a thing. She was sort of there before Marie Kondo became a thing, but then as soon as she found out about Marie Kondo, was studying this, and you know, it's interesting because you could become an expert at anything. Mm-hmm. My wife listens to minimalist podcasts, and she'll be cleaning the house, watching a YouTube video of somebody else talking about better ways to clean the house. And I'm like, babe, this is crazy. Like, how? She's like, I love it, babe. I just love it.
Just love it.
And then so here's what happens this weekend, this weekend. I got into this vortex of the studio here feels so good. We found a way to bring in what feels like almost the perfect amount. I don't want to say perfect, so I'll say almost the perfect amount of equipment. It feels light and airy, and yet everything works. And it's like, it feels like it's a minimalist setup, right? And it only took me, 2 days to go, we got to have this everywhere. Like the feeling I have when I sit down inside the studio, I want to have in every space that we exist in. And so that's what, next thing you know, we're cleaning out the closet.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, Leeann has always been that way. Like, literally, I remember way back when you guys first got married, you were kind enough to let me live with you. And
she was nothing back then compared to what she is now, clean. But she was already on her path.
Already on her path then. I mean, literally, you would set your keys down and it'd be like, where'd those go? Where'd those go? Like, she was just quick to kind of clean up. And I remember she taught me a lot about I didn't apply it, but a lot about the importance of it and the things that you're supposed to do there. But I was just blown away, and I think all of our students are going to be as soon as they come into the lobby at what it has created energy-wise out there. Like, it's a whole different feeling walking in.
So what happened was this weekend, I'm doing this thing, and I go, babe, can I grab you for like 3 hours? Can we get a babysitter? Will you come in for 3 hours and help with this, like whatever, studio cleaning? She comes in. And she attacks the kitchen first. And as you guys know, we've got like different various plates and cups from different scenes and like just all kinds of stuff in the kitchen.
It's like the hardest place to clean, no lie. Because of that, because of all the mismatches and stuff, it's like, well, I want to put glassware in this drawer. And
I look at my wife
about
about 12 minutes into the job. She's got this laser determination in her eyes, and there's just like things in her hand like this. She looks like a warrior princess, and she stares me down and she goes, babe, this is the best job you've ever given me. She keeps going, and I was like, I'm getting out of this woman's way right now. But now the kitchen, I mean, it's got this like really cool vibe to it, and she also attacked our front lobby and helped me with the organization of we've got some really cool merchandise that we were unable to display very well.
Yeah.
Even though we built this beautiful display center, and sort of COVID hit too, so that was a big part of it. And so it didn't become a priority really to display for public that wasn't going to be here.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, it looks so good, and it's a tribute to the work that John Pitt and the Pitt family did over at Superlux coming in here, and they made us some amazing T-shirts and sweatshirts that we love. A lot of our students are wearing them, but now it's like there's this really nice display. It feels beautiful. It feels like that same minimalist concept when you walk through the door now, and I just want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I felt that this morning right away. The walking in, the energy was like I said, just very calming. And even like you did something with the plants, I'm pretty sure, this morning.
Yeah, well, no, I watered the plants last night. So I was here, you know, and I try not to work on Sundays, but because this process got started, and honestly, it's not done. It's going to take all day today for me, and hopefully get some help from you gents. But I came in on Sunday because I hate walking in on a Monday morning to things out, and then knowing that if we don't get to it, we have to just sort of hide it back into some place in order to be open for the public.
Yeah.
And my thought, and it's same thing with this room. My thought is I don't want to be hiding anything. I don't want to be hiding anything in my thoughts and in my, you know, in my deeds and in my space. Like I want you like look in the closet. Like we can film in there, you know.
Yeah.
Look in the bathroom. We can film in there. Look in the kitchen. We can film in there. You know, open any cabinet and whatever's in there belongs, you know. And once you get to that place, there's this other amazing thing that happens. You save an incredible amount of time.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Because you go to look for something, and it's like, where's that thing?
You know where it is right away. Yeah.
And you should know, but sometimes you don't because it wasn't put away properly, and then all of a sudden, you know, blah 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 happens.
Yeah.
And you know, Valleywood has always been every year my excuse to do 2 big like spring cleanings. That are the summertime, because the winter time happens in New Year, and it's very easy to go up cleaning out the closet.
Yeah.
But in the summer it's hard, especially here. It's so hot. But Valleywood comes, and you know the kids are going to come with all their props and all their costumes and all their stuff, and so you have to like sort of clear out to be ready for that, because it's a big onslaught of stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, but just how happy are you that when we were choosing storage units, we ended up going with the air-conditioned one because it was somehow a
where's
little
my
cheaper.
Alleluia? I wish I had
I mean, here's the thing.
Hallelujah.
To me, Matt Deering, to me, that air horn is an hallelujah.
It really is.
No, it is. But I mean, but you
We
need,
need
we're
an
gonna add an
hallelujah.
Alleluia. I gotta
That's
tell you, because
happening.
that's got.
I think that's a great sound effect. And can we have Brian singing it?
for sure.
I'm in.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
The one extra one. One thing you said there that I really liked was the time factor about with not having to find certain things, because I know you're all about time. You know, it's a huge part of why you even dress the way you do, because you don't want to waste the choices you have on those little things.
Correct.
This applies so clearly to this as well. Like you don't think about it. You did this the same day, Friday I think it was, where it was like literally timing things out and timing the breaks.
Right.
And there was a realization for me, even going to get lunch, at like how long that took me.
Yeah, and I told you, this is crazy, because I know that day felt long for you, didn't it? Like, it felt like a long day. And then you guys ended up staying, so it ended up being a longer day. So then it really was a long day. But up until lunch, for me anyway, it already felt like a long day. And your calculated hours worked were like 3.5 hours. And mine were about 4, and Joey was at about 4.5 because he didn't take one of the last breaks that we took. So we were at this place where I'm looking at the day going, I would have normally felt like so accomplished today, but from tracking the time, and I still felt accomplished actually, but from tracking the time, I'm going, let me be honest with myself. I only worked 3 hours, and if I work this hard every day for those 3 hours, we're going to get to a point where we only have to work 3 hours, depending on how successful we want to be.
Yeah.
You know, now of course I'm going to definitely be pushing further than that.
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking at the next thing. But truthfully, it's like those were some really successful hours. So every hour that I've put in to this cleaning organization, and this is why I get so obsessed with it and crazy, just like about cords and little like ties and things, because I look at the future savings.
Yeah.
And that's where I get annoyed when people like just leave their stuff out, because it's like, hey, like you're wasting our collective time.
Well, and it's you put it. I want to draw this connection here because you put it this way with the dishes in the sink, right? You always say you leave one dish in there no matter who it is,
Yeah.
and then it's just like permission for the next person to just drop something in there, right?
Yeah.
Well, you think about it, that's like the same for any other space, right? So you leave your keys and your wallet and your phone on the front desk with like a notebook. Well, somebody's going to see that and be like, cool, I can leave my keys and my wallet and my stuff on the front
Right.
desk. Same in the kitchen, same in the closet, same like everywhere. And when you have that precedent, that stuff's going to happen. But when you flip the switch, turn it around, and then you have a designated place for everything, until that rule gets broken, you've now set a precedent that, oh, this goes here, or you're the bad guy.
That's
You
right.
know?
That's right. And you're the bad guy that's costing us all energy and
Yeah.
costing us all time and costing us all anxiety. I can say I'm very grateful to the two of you for how hard you work and how much you put into this place, and you know, your love and loyalty. It's like unbelievable. And it was proven over Valleywood, and literally I get to sleep on your bed, Joey, and, like, and we grind it out together.
It's like a cloud.
By the way, we have to build that here. I was going to tell you about that.
We have to build that in.
We'll get back to that later. But this idea of, honestly, I was there for a week and it was Valleywood, and Valleywood here, it's just hard. And I got to tell you guys, for next time, I highly recommend you do at your house the same thing we do here. Like, prep for Valleywood.
Yeah.
Get your place stocked with healthy food. Get your place clean and organized, because it wasn't.
No.
Right, nope.
Nope.
And
nope,
and I remember
not even
sleeping over
close.
there, and there's like piles of clothes and this and that, and it was like that. Joey's like, don't worry, that pile's clean. Okay, but it was, I don't know, maybe 4 days later after Valleywood, and the place was clean, and I didn't know you had done it, and I came in, and it's weird because I was expecting to feel, I didn't even know I was expecting it, but I was expecting to feel like an angst, and I walked in and went,
Yeah,
And-
I had
and-
a little diffuser on, you know.
yeah, but you don't like we don't realize what we do to ourselves.
Oh, sure.
And you don't, sometimes you don't realize when you're living in this way, in this like sort of like, even just like the trash being overflowed, or like whatever the thing is that you kind of ignore, and those little tiny decisions, they add up, and they add to this level of like, you know, panic, and then you try to fill that panic with other things like stuff and food and whatever, just to try to make yourself feel good,
yeah.
instead of doing the hard work it takes up front to be consistent with your behavior.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
For sure.
And that's what I'm saying. Like during a Valleywood, I'm going to tell you flat out, there isn't time to do an extra load of laundry. There
Nope,
just, there
there
just
ain't
isn't.
no time to do
Right,
nothing.
yeah.
But that's why you have to prep, you know, because
Yeah.
there's not time either to clean around here. So if we don't clean ahead of time, like we're toast.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. There were so many things where, like, we got saved in a lot of ways. Like, Leeann made food one night. My dad brought food one night, just
Yeah.
coincidentally. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure my fridge just had, like, a ton of bubble water, because I'm pretty good about keeping that in there. And then, like,
I
pretty
like
much just, like,
goldfish, I think.
goldfish.
Yeah.
There was some Pringles. I had granola bars in there. I don't know if we ate any.
I had a couple girls.
I had one power bar, which I made a video with on Thursday night when I was editing, and then the video got deleted, and I was really bummed about it because I thought it was hilarious at 2 a.m. for the campers. Yeah, still a little sad about that.
So I wrote this little section in the book on focus. And
Focus.
I really loved this analogy I came up with, because not a lot of people know this, but I have a photography degree from ASU. So that's a lot of where I get my production stuff from.
Devils, go! Gong.
That was nice. Let's do that again. So I got my photography degree from ASU.
Go, Devils, go! Gong.
I would have set you up, Joey, but when you turned the mic down, I thought you were gonna go do something you didn't want to be heard.
No. That makes sense. I was
Yeah.
gonna do a drum roll, and then you said, like, you mentioned the
Oh,
Sun
all right.
Devils.
Let me
and
try
I was
this
like,
again.
All right,
Okay,
I
here
guess
we go.
I gotta.
We really have to get good at this.
All right,
okay,
cool,
so
cool.
So I don't know. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I have a photography degree from ASU.
Go, Devils, go!
I'm looking at Brian's
fast
face,
enough?
and Brian's looking at me like, "What is he doing right
What
now?"
is he
I
doing
have
right
no
now?
idea
Where's
what's
the-
happening.
where's the drrrr
So
come in?
stop.
Joey's like, "I got it.
Bro,
He's quicker than me.
Smooth. Smooth sailing.
Anyway, back to the photography thing. This
It's like the first time you said it.
This idea of focus. It's interesting because a photographer, you get the difference between two photographs are really, what did you focus on?
Yeah.
If you hold two photographs next to each other, what makes one unbelievably great and the other one like meh? It's just a photograph. And it's your ability, your equipment and your eye for laser focus on the most important thing in the frame. So the example I gave is, let's imagine that you, a person, you out there watching this right now, that a photographer takes your photo, okay, and you're on a busy street in New York, and everything's in focus. You're in focus, the cabs are in focus, the other people are in focus, the windows are in focus, the dog barking is in focus, the fire hydrant that another dog is peeing on is in focus, the traffic lights are in focus, everything's in focus, okay, and it's just like a lot of this stuff, and you're all there. It's a big wide angle. Great. Now let's take the same angle, and this photographer takes a photo of you, and he or she puts this laser focus on your eyes, and your eyes are in focus, and then the rest of your face is sort of in focus, your body's in focus, and everything behind you is completely blurred out. It's still there, but you can't even tell what it is. It's just blurry, and you're in focus, and you just whoosh, like you jump off the page and in focus, right? And the question is that I ask in the book is, which photograph makes you feel more important?
The one with the eyes.
Of course. And all the focus is on you. It makes you feel important. The other one's like, yeah, I'm in the photograph, but I'm not any more important than the dog.
Yeah, I'm in the photograph, but there's also all these other people here.
And the cab is really important.
Really,
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
a part of the bigger world is kind of what that photo tells
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
So then I asked, I asked this next question, which again gets to be a little like, maybe eye-opening, which is, are you gonna go Devils or what are we doing?
No. That's what I was gonna do the first time.
got
So
it.
the thing
I
is,
got
like, if I turn the mic down, I'm going for a drum roll.
Well, we just do this, you know.
I mean, you can do that.
Devils, go!
Brian.
All right.
That's what that's
It's
for,
fast.
right?
All right, we've lost momentum on the point here.
Momentum.
Let me finish the point, and then we'll masquerade on some drum rolls here.
Cool.
So this idea being, how many times do you think you've been talking to somebody else and your mind's been elsewhere? How many times have you been talking to someone else and you're thinking about something else, or like sneakily looking at something else or whatever? And then the question is, so I asked, in which photograph did you feel most important? Now I'm thinking, how important do you think that person felt to you when you were distracted and you were speaking to them? And there's a huge thing about giving somebody all of your attention, giving a moment in time all of your attention, your focus. And I believe that this one thing is a huge part of the best listener in the room concept. It's a huge part of becoming next level as a human being, is this ability to focus. And when you can focus, you can go, like, you can really like grind through things like mundane tasks that make you great over time. If you learn to focus on a daily basis, like we were doing the other day, 1 hour at a time, like really zoning in, you're like, whoa, I got a lot done in 1 hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm sorry, I'll go right back here. But I don't know about you guys, but the first hour of that day, I felt way more productive than the second hour. And then the third hour was like a little bit more productive again. But the second hour actually was hard for me to get back into focus.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
I agree. Actually, I was thinking about that the other day. I forgot about it until you just brought it up. But yeah, I was like, I almost didn't want to take the first break.
And maybe we shouldn't. And that's the experiment. It's like, okay, we went an hour. Maybe it should have been 90 minutes. Maybe it needs to be 2 hours. Maybe it needs to be different for each of us, but that we're each holding ourselves accountable to our focus and being honest. Like, I love being honest at the end of the day and going, if I crushed today or I didn't.
Yeah.
And even if I got a lot done, it doesn't mean that I crushed.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And so by holding myself accountable to that thing, it opens me up to be more successful, which then in turn opens up us all to be more successful as a group.
So
what Brian was about to
honestly,
say.
Joey said the exact same thing. So I was just gonna say that I felt that, like, probably on the second one, I was like, I didn't want to stop. Like, it was like, okay, break, and I was like, I'm not quite finished, you know,
Yeah.
with this last thing, and so it's so cool, that the idea of that experiment, and you even started the day with saying something along those lines. I can't remember what exact word he used, but it was something along the lines of experiment. Like, we're gonna try something. Would you? And not even we're going to.
No,
I'd like to. Like,
I think he said experiment.
So you were like, I'd like to try this experiment. Roll with me here.
Yeah.
Like, would you mind just like trying it with me? We're like, yeah, sure, totally. And those discoveries were made. Like, those realizations at the very least were like, oh, I really realized how much you can get done, and the power of it. Like, again, 1 hour of really focused work versus like several hours of non-focused, and you realize how long a task actually takes. Like, there was a realization for me inside of some of the even YouTube stuff and certain things that I was like, oh, this could be way faster if I wasn't being pulled by this and that.
Right.
And you and I had a discussion, which I found very interesting, about multitasking inside of, because I was like, at one point I was going to go get breakfast, which sounds like food is my weakness. Was going to go get breakfast.
100%. There's no doubt.
and I was like, oh, well, I have these 3 call things that I have to do. I'll just make those calls at the same time. And you're like, actually, if you wouldn't mind not doing that for the tracking purposes, that would be great. And it was a huge realization of
and I wanted those phone calls to go back to this whole idea of, I didn't want them to be things you had to do.
Right.
I wanted them to be things you wanted to do, and each one of those phone calls got all of your attention.
Right.
Not all of your attention minus the drive-through at In-N-Out.
Yes.
You know.
Exactly.
And that's a problem. You're like, hey, you know,
1 second,
client that I love so much, let me put you on mute really quick and not admit that I'm in In-N-Out.
Right.
And then come back and be like, yeah, so whatever, I'm trying to hand your food without being caught. Like, those are things that, like, over time, it's just, it will give you a certain reputation among people. And then some people get your full attention, some people don't, and then it's amazing. They have a completely different perspective on you, and it might be an incorrect perspective, but it's because you chose to show them this weak side of you, which is just not all of you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because when you give all of you on the phone, like, I've seen it, it's unbelievable. Like, you're so great at communication and customer service, and I know your heart and your love for everybody here, but they will not feel it if you're not giving them every bit of who you are.
Absolutely. And I very much appreciate being in an environment where you push us in that way, and where you're continuing to search for these things, and we know each other pretty well, like really well. So we're able to look and go, I believe in that moment, not only for all of us, but you're looking at me and you know me well enough to go, that's a struggle point for you. Like, let me help you through that. Let me provide you for a way that I think is going to make a big difference for you. And obviously, and this is the beauty of when we do something like this, it affects everybody. So if you're helping me, it's helping you, and it's helping other people. Like, and we're not doing it for that reason. You're not like, hey, I want to do that so that Brian can help me. But it's just what happens.
100%. I mean, you've known from day one, I've been very vocal about this. You know, you rise up or you're off the team.
Yep.
I mean, I believe that, and I believe you guys believe it, and it should be the way that it is. If you're not consistently getting better, you don't fit on our team. Period.
Big facts.
You know?
Absolutely.
I think Dakota's a great example of that.
Yeah.
You know, Dakota's been interning here recently, and he is completely transformed, just like the same way Shay's completely transformed. You guys are completely transformed.
Yep.
I'm completely transformed. But the idea being, like, looking at that guy, and I don't know, how long's it been? I mean, I really don't know. Maybe 2 or 3 months, something like that.
Yeah, about
sounds
3
about
months.
right.
So you
About
look at
3
that,
months.
and it was a grind at first for us, and it was a grind for him. And I know it was just like he didn't get it, and all of a sudden he'd be looking at you a certain way, and now all of a sudden he's doing things quickly, doing them before being asked, being eager to jump.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was in a place of weakness on Saturday. I could use an extra pair of hands because my knee was feeling a little sore. I could have used somebody on the ladder. You guys weren't. I thought you guys were actually going to be gone because the idea was you were supposed to be golfing.
Yeah.
So you were technically had already left. So I text him because I'm like, and that's a testament to who he's become. Because I'd have never texted him before.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I wouldn't have been able to trust that him coming in would benefit. A lot of times it would be like he'd be slow or something. Now I'm like, you know what? If I need an extra pair of hands, he's a great call to make.
Absolutely.
And then to his credit, he showed up. Like his text back was just OMW. Which is on my way. It took me a minute to figure it out. I was like,
I was trying to figure out right there.
I stared at it for a while, and I'm like,
Oh my excited!
Am I supposed to ask him what that means? Or like, I finally figured it out. I'm like,
That's
okay.
funny.
And now you're in on that kind of lingo. Which
OMW,
is really great.
baby,
You
yeah.
can totally use it.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things about Dakota is like that idea, right? So I know pretty much every Friday since you guys had the conversation about him coming in as often as possible, because of that reason, getting your toe in the water, getting consistent so that the trust gets built within our whole team, right?
Yeah.
Well, Fridays are days where honestly, like, we come in the morning a lot of the time, and then by 4 in the afternoon, usually we're home. Usually, not always, but like somewhere in the late afternoon.
Well, or we're wanting to do stuff then for us either way.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
wanting
yeah,
to do
yeah.
stuff that maybe we want to make a podcast, or we want to do something that is 100% going to be just fun time, you know.
Well,
And it was hard to be a teacher in that moment because we'd already grinded on so many students all week. So for him to come in and need us and be needy, which is okay. He's new, but that was hard. It was hard to take that on.
For sure. But that was one of the cool things is like consistently just every Friday I get a text or and a call if I don't see the text or whatever, just like, hey, just wondering if you're going to be in, because if so, I'll just come in.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and let's
cool.
jump into the
That's
idea
awesome.
of focus with that, right?
Yeah.
You are going home also on Saturday at the end of the night for, I can't remember what you call it with your family.
Saturday sleepover.
Saturday sleepover, right?
I knew it was coming. I knew you weren't going to let me down.
And I should really talk about Saturday sleepover. That should be
Yeah,
its own
it really
episode.
should. It really
I'll make
should,
that its
yeah.
own episode.
Boom.
Yeah.
Guys, all right. Wait for the Saturday sleepover episode.
It's
It's coming
amazing.
soon.
If you're a parent out there, it's a really good idea. So what were you going to say, though, about
Well,
that?
it was just the commitment to spending time with your family in that kind of way. And so we should save it for that episode. But it's like you are really good about like that. They are my focus now. And we talk about it a lot on the show, but I'm going to work. Like,
Going
I'm
to
leaving
work, baby.
Going to work. Like, but there's
Yeah.
power in that.
Yeah.
There's power in you giving to them completely. And I know I can see it in them, and it's powerful. It just really is. And I know I'm guilty of it. So I know so many people out there are probably experiencing the same thing, where we just don't even realize that we're not really fully present with the people around us. And
Yeah.
so there's just power in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give over to that idea, and honestly, so the minimalism idea. This is what's so neat is I was practicing minimalism also way early, just not in the physical. I was doing it in my mental.
Sure. Yeah.
So what's so cool about Leeann and I is we have actually met each other in the middle, and she has now made me obsess over the physical minimalism, and I've helped her with the mental minimalism.
Gosh,
Sure.
cool.
You know,
Yeah.
and so like the idea of being like, if you're scrolling, you're not present.
Yeah.
Big facts.
You know, unless what you're scrolling about is for the thing you're doing. You know, and what's crazy is people can tell. Like Brian, if you were doing social media about the show, I'd know it. I could tell the difference between that and you checking a notification.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you think you can get away with it. You can't. Like
Can't hide.
There's a different vibe because you'd be literally moving in such a way in order to listen and use it
Yep.
versus a little quick like, let me check my own thing. And everybody can feel it. And like a lot of times people feel like I can get away with this, you know, it's just a quick whatever, and you can't. So it's up to you, you know. And I use harsh language with myself to help me, but my harsh language is that's rude. Like it's just flat out rude to do that, and I don't want to be that person that's super rude to the people around me.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
and you would do it. You've talked about this in other episodes, but you would tell your kid to do it. You would. You'd be like, hey, don't do that. Like, don't be on your phone right now.
Yeah, don't be on your phone during dinner. Don't be on your phone while we're trying to talk to grandma and grandpa. Don't be on your phone while we're whatever. You know,
But we'll do it.
don't try to have your own podcast kids and be a part of a podcast and be on your phone, you know? And that's how you can also like measure too the amount, if you're honest with yourself, how much you believe in something and how important it is to you.
Yeah.
Because you can always just replace whatever it is that you're doing with something with where you want to be. So I take like, okay, this podcast, you know, I've never missed. I'm always here super early. You know, I mean, there's times when you guys have actually helped me, but it's rare.
Yeah.
Yep,
You know, and so like you look at this and you go, okay, he treats it as if it's a nationally syndicated show, and he's already there. And I would do the same thing as an assistant or whatever to somebody else, because it's the same idea. I either believe in it or I don't. If I don't believe in it, I'm just not going to do it, and that's okay. But either, in my mind, you either do it and you're all in, or you don't do it at all.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing we learned from Kate, was she did a whole year's worth of saying no. It's a really great thing.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely.
You know, learning to say no to certain things that you know, maybe you used to like doing and now you don't like doing them anymore.
Well, and going right to Kate's episode, the first thing was organization.
That's right.
That was number one. Let me start there and build everything off
And she
of that.
spent a year on it. Why? And we've spent years on the organization around here, and it's a never ending process. But hopefully you get to a place where it's maintenance versus having to do these big, you know, huge overhauls.
Yeah.
All the time, every 3 months or something.
But it's not crazy to think that it took a year because of the amount of time it takes to make something a habit, right?
That and
So,
yes, and
know.
creating systems that don't exist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's all about systems.
Absolutely, and breaking down every little detail. Like she literally talked about her emails, like getting rid of the emails that you would normally just delete right away, so that you don't have that time deleting it.
And I feel that stress. I don't know if you guys feel it, but I feel the stress sometimes of looking at my email box, and I've done it. I've gone through and deleted all the things and undone all the subscriptions to the ones that are not giving me, that are not life giving, and then before you know it, I've needed to sign up for whatever, and then I've got 300 emails.
Yep.
And you look at your inbox, and it's stressful because you can't just bulk delete them all. You have to make sure you're not going to miss something super important.
Right.
And then you get this like anxiety, like, oh, I haven't done the email, I haven't done the email. And then this comes back to the idea of it takes probably 5 to 10 times longer to go through your email and unsubscribe versus hitting the delete button.
Yep.
Deleting is easier, and bulk deleting easier. To go through and individually unsubscribe to the things that are bogging you down, it takes a while.
Absolutely.
But doing that work up front, like I've been doing here with the studio and with the you know, the space and all this stuff, like the hours you put in, they pay off in the long run. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like an investment, you know, like you put in the money and it doesn't pay off until like whatever year, and then you're like, okay, now I'm making money on this thing.
Absolutely. And one task sort of leads right into inspiring another. Like, we haven't even quite finished this yet, and you and I already on Saturday were talking about we were going to move something to the storage unit, and the first thought was like, okay, cool. We were going to put it in a bin, and then I asked you, is it cool if we just actually don't do that, because we should get some real bins and like really organize that lighthouse thing over there and get that going. And it was like this cool moment. It was like, ooh, I actually got excited to go do that. You know, I got excited because it doesn't, like, going all the way back to what we said at the beginning with the minimalism, it doesn't feel good to walk into that storage unit right now.
No,
like,
that's
not
right.
At all.
And one thing affects the other. Mm-hmm. So now you just go through. Okay, we have to. And this is what goes back to, even like we talked about this. You know, we love improv.
Yep.
Love it.
We're good at improv.
Yes.
We're gonna have, like, improv shows are coming back very soon. By the way, this is the big announcement. Improv shows are coming back to
drum
Deering
roll.
Studio.
Drum roll. Yeah.
Big announcement, Joey. What's the
sorry.
big announcement?
Improv shows are coming back to Deering Studio.
Yeah, so we're gonna be putting up shows. We're gonna have the troupe back in. I mean, we're at the point now where we're ready and prepared to do it safely and do it in such a way that we believe we can be very life-giving. And we're even gonna use some of our virtual technology. We're gonna use some of our podcast technology. Like we're gonna take what we were doing, and then meld it with the new stuff we're doing, and it's gonna be better than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of which, just gonna plug it real quick. Shameless plug, no sound effect, it's fine. shameless plug. Matt and Jason Jackson, a student of ours, have started an improv podcast that I tend to really love. I do the write-ups for it, so it makes me pretty happy. But check it out. It's on our podcast page.
Chaos
Apple,
Comedy.
Spotify.
Isn't it Chaos
everything
Comedy or
else.
During Studio Improv?
It's just called the Improv Podcast.
On the
Very
During Studio
simple.
channel. Got it.
Yeah, During Studio
And-
channel. You
and
can
you're on
find
there
it
too,
our
aren't you?
website. Yeah, I'm on one episode.
Couple
Brian's
of them.
on one
Yeah.
episode. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
good
very
stuff.
cool. And that's fun too. The audio improv, it's its own like.
Dude, it's hard, but it's
channel.
so
I
fun.
had no idea how much fun that would be, and I was one of the skeptics.
Brian-
like
Dude,
big time.
Brian
In the
fought.
beginning,
So
I was like,
anti.
In the okay, so we'll just give a little backstory here. So we were doing our Boondock show. This was right before COVID hit initially. We had it going, like we had the momentum going. We had this show sold out, and then the week before the show was when it hit, and they were like, "You got to close everything down," and we were like, "But improv,
Boondock.
but it's sold out.
but improv."
but the show's
And so
sold
then
out.
we sat in this circle and we're like, all right, what are we going to do? Because we're not going to cancel it, but we can't have people here. So how are you going to have a show with no people, right? And then we were like, we were looking over and the podcast equipment was set up. And Matt was like, what if we do it on the podcast equipment? And I was like, dang, it's a good idea. And Brian was like, no, that's terrible.
No, I don't think he didn't go terrible till I said no cameras.
Oh,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And
You're
I was
right.
like, but because here's the why. There's something fun about audio only, and that was the thing I had to sell him on.
yeah.
Was like, because to me it goes back to those old days when people really did. They would sit around the radio and they would listen to these stories.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's the same thing as reading a book. So now if you think about the difference, if you have the discipline to read a book versus watch the movie.
Yeah.
And the movies are, unless they do it completely different, the movies will always disappoint compared to the book.
Right.
And so here we were telling this story and allowing people's imaginations to fill in the blanks. And I got to tell you guys, I was teaching a teens class virtually the other day, and this young girl, I had no idea that she, attended and listened to the Boondock show that night. She quoted us, and this was like 4.5 months later, and she's like, well, I just can't stop thinking about that Boondock show you guys did. And she quoted an exact scene, and she's like, it's like that, right? And I was like, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
But she remembered. She was totally engaged, and I just thought to myself, what we did in that moment was we breathed life into people that were like, they were all scared at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it gave them something like, hey, you know what? Even despite the fact that we can't go to the movie theater and that we can't go to our Chaos Comedy Improv show right now, we can tune in.
Yeah.
And we can listen, and we can be affected in a new way that we've never, been affected before. And I mean, to this day, it was one of our best live, presentations we've put up
Totally.
so far as attendance and whatnot.
Yeah.
So obviously, the market has told us we got to do more of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my dad hopped on and said that it felt like old times to him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
he
awesome.
called me right after. I'll never forget it. He was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever heard. He was like, you guys just, it felt like old times. you
Yeah.
know? And I was like, oh, that's cool. And you're right. That's how they used to listen. It's crazy.
All right, so you want to plug the book
I was
here,
just
Brad
gonna
guy?
say, well, really, any book is great. Any book you want to read is awesome. Doesn't really matter
man.
what the book is. It could really be.
All right, you deserve it. It's
Anything?
time now for Brian Sweeney's Shameless Plugs.
Shameless
I'm like, nowadays you got to earn it.
You did it.
You earned it. That was really shameless. That was
I
a
was like,
shameless
so
transition.
Acting is my day job. 7 strategies to market and make money as an actor. So, I mean, if you're going to read a book and use your imagination, this is a great one. It talks about dragons. I mean, there's so many
Brian loves the
wonderful-
dragon. I don't know if Brian
It's
read
my
the whole book
favorite.
and he just read the
I
dragon
just
part.
read the dragon part. It's so creative. It was honestly, when I was reading it, it was so unexpected. I was not seeing that coming, and the creativity of that blew my mind. Honestly, when it really like a tribute to you as a writer. I was like,
Yeah.
it's an acting book, and then when that came out, I was like, oh man, he's really sucking me into a story here. Like, this is cool.
Well, and like Jordan Peterson talks about the dragons in our life, you know, and so the industry dragon is the acting dragon, but we've all got dragons. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, like there's a dragon, you know, that you feel like you got to slay.
Absolutely.
And that was that idea of let's demystify this thing for a second and realize that we can do it. It's just a matter of, are you willing to put in the work?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was working on the audiobook this on the day that we were doing our 6 hours, and I finished the first chapter with all the like levelizing and all that. So now we got the intro and the first chapter done. But I did take that little piece and I just played for a minute because I wanted to have a little fun. And I put the gerbil filter on your voice.
It was funny.
And it was hilarious.
Man, it was funny.
But then I turned it down because I was like, that's too extreme to like a 4. And then I played it and I was like, he sounds like me. It was really weird because it did sound like me.
So you were trying to make fun of me, and then you're like, oh man,
that's my voice. Yeah. I was like,
my voice is Matt Deering with a 4 gerbil on it.
My feelings.
I love your voice, Joey. I think your voice sounds really, really nice.
I think it's cool, especially when I get super passionate about.
Well, you know what else? It bounces off our voices really well. But like you and me, like we got this thing where like I'm coming right here, and then you gerbil it up. You know,
gerbil it up.
Number 4 gerbil. I don't know. It bounces well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of like that. Gerbil it up.
I kind of like that.
Gerbil it up. Gerbil it up. Gerbil it up.
All right. Well, this was our episode here today, and so we're gonna do a quick little recap for you, which is, don't be afraid of it. Get excited about minimalism, minimizing all the distractions in your mind, especially the distractions in your environment. And as a matter of fact, it'd be nice to do a whole extra episode on distractions, because I got a little like acronym that I use in the book that I think it'd be kind of fun to share with everybody.
Matt is the king of getting rid of distractions. Big facts.
All right,
Joey Sweeney facts.
Let's call it a day, shall we, fellas?
We shall call it a day. We shall.
All right, that's our. Bet we.
I was setting you up for it.
Bet we should save the planet, gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. This has been Mornings with Matt. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel so we can spread this light-driven content to the planet. Thank you and God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.